Hey everyone, Random Randy here. It is August. It's not August anymore. It is October 6th, 2017. And you are in the kitchen of Chateau de Random. And no, I don't know French. I know that was horrible. Please don't kill me. I am just chopping up sweet potatoes so that I will have immensely less work to do when it is a little bit closer to dinner time. I'm making sweet potato casserole again because it is one of the only things that Hunter ever requests for food because we don't have it very often. And since I am solo parenting for the next 20 some odd days, I'm not even sure how many, again, that means I am in charge of the food. And pretty much this past week since my husband left again, I have been pretty worn out, understandably. Taking care of a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, almost 3 and 5-year-old, all by myself for an entire month, having my husband home for 8 days, and then leaving again. As I'm sure you can imagine, pretty stressful, pretty tiring, especially considering the fact that just before Adam left, Killian was bound and determined to try to injure himself in as many horrific ways as possible. The day before Adam left, Killian had gone outside to play. I had gone down to the bathroom. I heard a thud followed by a scream and some crying. Ran down here to see what was going on. I asked Hunter if he saw what happened. He said, I think Killian lost his shoe. So I looked outside and ran out to see what was going on. Killian had indeed lost his boot that he was wearing. He had attempted to climb the outdoor cat tree that is mostly emergency shelter for Nurgle if, say, Adam were to let him out at night and forget that he was outside, which has happened before. And it's a place for him to get up out of reach of the kids if they're all outside at the same time. Because nobody likes to get grabbed and mauled all the time. Let me just put the rest of these in the pot. Do not burn myself too terribly. There we go. And so Killian had lost his boot and he was sitting on the ground crying, so I ran out to see what was the matter. He had managed to tip the cat tree over, attempting to climb it, because he is convinced that he is a cat, and had managed to knock the cat tree over onto his foot. He wrenched his knee a little bit to get his foot out from under it, which is also how he lost his boot. It was trapped under the edge of the cat tree. His foot was a little bit puffy and his leg is still a tiny bit sore. He's limping a touch, but I made sure everything still rotated, everything bent. He didn't bruise, which is really weird. So he's mostly okay now. And then 2 days ago, when Killian was starting to feel better and he was becoming convinced that his knee was completely healed, he decided to try climbing on the coffee table that is right next to the window. And the coffee table toppled over and he whacked his head on the windowsill. Hit his ear so hard that the top half of his ear almost looks black. It's so purple. Yeah, buddy. So it has been a long first, not even week yet. And I'm just trying to make do with what we have in the house for groceries because I really don't want to have to leave the house, because Killian, if he walks for any extended period of time, he needs to either be carried or put in the cart. But then once he's in the cart, he won't sit down and he's too big to buckle into the basket. So there's no win there. No win whatsoever. So I'm working on Hunter's requested meal. I'm also going to be making baked chicken thighs with it because the other night for dinner, I just made them egg noodles with some cheese and gave them, I don't even remember what I put on the side. Oh, I did cook some chicken to go with it, but it was just like frozen, those horrible chicken thigh strips that are injected with water and flavoring agents and stuff. They're my emergency protein for dinner. So I cooked that the other night, but I have a whole bunch of egg noodles left over, so I'm cooking the chicken thighs tonight. So any of them that are left over, I will shred the meat tomorrow and I will make some chicken soup. It's just been long. And we've got like 3 or 4 more weeks of it. I'm so excited. Always so excited when this happens. I'm also thinking of making probably a big batch of maybe something like pancakes so that I can freeze part of it, because I know that a lot of the chicken soup is going to be going into small portions and put in the freezer because the kids and I aren't going to be able to eat a full batch, and they don't eat leftovers of the same meal maybe more than once or twice anyway. So unfortunately, I've learned from the way that my husband eats and the way that he cooks to cook for 10 people at a clip rather than the 4 of us that there are, and currently there's only 3 of us, so there's going to be a lot left over. We yesterday went out and I picked up all the dog bombs in the yard, raked the leaves, and after raking the leaves my hands were so sore that I said, well, I'll just wait until tomorrow to do the mowing. We have a manual push mower. Not one of the ones with the engine that's a push mower, but the one where it actually has just the big rotating blade, and when you push it, it spins the blade. Yeah, we have one of those, which is nice because then the kids can still be outside playing when I'm using it. So can the cat and the dog. I could also mow while the kids are taking a nap. Not that Hunter naps anymore, but it has its perks. It also doesn't stink like normal engine-powered mowers do. So right now I'm just having the potatoes boil because I found that it's a lot easier for me to boil them once they're already chopped up. It's a lot easier for me to process them than it is to bake them whole and then have to try to handle them while they're still entirely too hot or waiting way too long for them to cool down to peel them. That's just no fun. I'd rather just have them chopped beforehand so then I can just let it cool for a few minutes, throw it in the KitchenAid with all the ingredients to make the paste for the bottom of the casserole. I'm going to get all of the ingredients together for the streusel topping that goes on the top of the casserole, and I will leave the link to this particular recipe that I use in the description box below the video. But I'm pretty much just going to take you through the process of me making this. It's not really overly complicated, but it makes a lot of food. It goes in a 9x13 pan, and when I made it last time Adam was gone, I ended up eating it for multiple meals a day for probably close to a week and a half before it was finally all gone. Killian won't really touch the stuff. He'll eat the crumb topping off of it, but he won't really eat the sweet potatoes, and Hunter will eat it maybe 2 or 3 times. So I'm gonna get all the ingredients together for the topping and just show you how that goes together. Alrighty, so I've got the butter softened. This is 4 tablespoons of butter. Going to add in the 1/2 cup of flour. You want the butter softened, not melted, because when it's melted, it's really hard to get it to work the way that you want it to. Then we need 1 entire cup of brown sugar, hacked, So, for the record, this recipe uses a lot of butter and a lot of sugar. If you're trying to eat healthy, this is probably not your best option unless this is part of your once a week cheat meal. So there is the sugar, and then it says to also use 1 cup of chopped pecans. Personally, I found that from making an accidental substitution because we didn't have any pecans, I really like the way it tastes with cashews. Unfortunately, when I put them on the blender to chop them, I have more of a cashew flour than anything else, but that's fine. The flavor's still there and I won't have to worry about the kids having an issue with the chunks. No, thank you, sweetie.
But it has big and black.
Okay, cool.
It's royal flavor.
That's pretty awesome. I like to just mix mine together with a fork because I found that a whisk is too fine and everything gets caught in it. You will hear musical accompaniment by Hunter in the background. And Killian decided that today was not a good day to nap, so he is doing his best not to fall asleep sitting on the couch with his Kindle right now. The boys have been screen-free all day up until now. It is 3:30, so actually about half an hour ago is when I said that they could have them because I wanted some peace to get the food ready to go. Been trying to not completely eliminate their screen time because let's be honest, our children who are small right now, technology is going to be part of their everyday life. And I believe that they should know how to use it. I just need to work on controlling the quantity that they have it a touch more, because I know that I'm guilty of, like I'm sure any moms do when they're tired. When I need a break, I'm like, here, have your Kindle, let mommy breathe, please and thank you, have a nice day. Now, most of the content on their Kindles is at least quasi-educational or lighthearted fun stuff. They don't have any way to access things that I'm worried about them seeing, giving them nightmares, etc. So I don't have to worry about that. So that looks like it's finally all mixed together. So that is the topping. And now we're gonna move over to the other side of the kitchen since the potatoes are finally out of the pan. And apparently my hands are orange from slicing them. But the potatoes are out of the pan, so we're gonna move over there so I can get them all mashed up and get everything that needs to go with the potatoes mixed in. So now the potatoes are done boiling, and they are fork tender, which means if you poke them with a fork, they pretty much fall apart. Need to add half a cup of milk, and yes, I am using the same measuring cup because I like doing dishes about as much as I like doing Etsy listings. And if you've watched my most recent video, you will know that Etsy listings are probably one of my least favorite things. Hey, Boogie Ball. Also, as I said, lots and lots of butter in this recipe. This is an entire stick of butter. This recipe would do Paula Deen proud. In fact, I believe this was called Southern Sweet Potato Casserole, so that would really make sense to me. So there's that. I'm gonna just mash these together a little bit by hand before attaching it to the mixer, just because things are less likely to slop around if it's partly combined beforehand. Next, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And this is just a 1/2 teaspoon. I guess it makes more sense to do 3 of these and to have 2 spoons to wash. That, 2 eggs. 1, 2. Now that I've got it mashed, I'm gonna put my paddle on. Now the only other thing to add to this before getting it completely mixed is an excessive amount of sugar, an entire cup of granulated sugar. Usually I'll try to make healthier substitutions or use less sugar, but this recipe is actually much lower in sugar than another one that I was using, which had you using sweetened condensed milk on top of everything else. And that was, well, it was incredibly sweet. It was just way too much, and I don't want my kids full of that much sugar. Even though this has a scraper edge on the paddle, I still like to scrape it all down with a good spoon or spatula one time. And this thing just never stays solid sitting. Give it one more good mix. That should be good enough. Now we're gonna move over and get it in the pan and add the topping. Then I'm gonna pop it in the fridge for a bit until it's dinner time. So now I'm going to be putting the ginormously massive bowl of the sweet potato mixture into a pre-greased 9x13 pan. In this case I used spray-on coconut oil. I think it's just Safeway brand. I like the flavor that it gives with sweet things better than olive oil. And there's already more than enough butter in here, so I didn't think we needed any more of that. So you just spoon it in. If you're a super stickler for texture, you can make your mixture 100% smooth. I personally like a little bit more texture when I eat my food or I feel like I'm eating baby food. So I like having a little bit of the chunk left to the sweet potatoes, which will soften up anyway once it sits in the oven. So there's that. I just smooth it out so that it fills in all the spaces. Take the crumble mixture. Just spread it over the top. And Killian is so tired right now that even though he's sitting in there rubbing his exhausted red-rimmed little kid eyes, I asked him if he wanted to go lay down and he said no. I said, alright dude, I'm not gonna force you. You're getting too big for me to force you to go to sleep anyway. If you really don't wanna, I guess you just don't want to. Hi buddy, get down please. And this part is Hunter's favorite part. So I have to make sure that the crumb covers everything to ensure that he's going to be more likely to actually eat it. You'll notice that there are some chunks of butter. That's totally fine. Those are gonna melt and make everything gel together. Not a big deal. I actually like the way that this turned out with the cashews getting totally munched up better than I usually do when it's chunky. So this is pretty much just a giant version of sweet potato pie without crust. So crustless sweet potato pie, I guess you could call it. I've never been a fan of the marshmallows on top of it though. I think that's just, it's too much. This way I can kind of sort of pretend that it's a healthy-ish dish to consume on occasion. But when you cover it with marshmallows, yeah, no. Nutritional value goes right out the window. So that is that all done. I'm going to grab the lid for this and pop it in the fridge. So now that the sweet potato casserole is all done in the fridge, I'm going to get the chicken ready. And I know that some of you are vegetarians or vegans, so I'm not going to make you watch that. You've probably already seen me do it anyway. So I'm going to get that ready. And once all of that goes in the oven, which is preheating, I'm going to have an hour to just sit and relax. I'm probably going to crochet. I am working right now on getting the proportions figured out for 4 different sizes of the crocheted narwhal that I make. I made one yesterday. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably already saw it. Well, I finished it today. And it is about softball sized. I'm calling that one the jumbo because that, in my opinion, is way, way too big. And I meant to put safety eyes on it rather than making eyes and sewing them on, but it was about 1 o'clock in the morning when I finished making the body and the tail, and I sewed it up and had woven in the end, and I stopped and I looked at it and went, crap. Luckily, I had an extra set of eyeballs made for another zero lovey, so I just took those and sewed them on and made it work. So the rest of them, provided my 1 in the morning brain doesn't forget, will have safety eyes instead of sewn on eyes. But if safety eyes are a safety concern for you, I know that they kind of worry me. I wouldn't give them to a baby because my younger son Killian actually chewed the safety nose off of his never separated from him stuffed animal bear, so I had to quickly perform surgery and stitch the nose hole back up and take the backing out of it so that I wouldn't have to worry about him swallowing it. But anyway, I will catch you all later this evening and put all this together. In case I didn't mention it already, because I'm kind of scattered today, I actually feel more awake than usual, even though I only slept for 4.5 hours last night. I think my sweet spot is between about 4.5 and 6. hours of sleep. But anyway, I had planned to do Vlogtober and totally didn't get the opportunity to really make a daily video for the first few days, even though I have posted a few videos. So I'm going to be putting up a vlog every day for the rest of this month, especially since it's just me and the kids, so my evenings are completely free. And when my husband isn't home, apparently I go feral and stay up until 2, 3 in the morning every night working on things. Hopefully I will be getting some pictures taken this evening so that I can do a shop update. I'm not planning on having a lot of things go up today, but I want to start every other Friday at least. Every Friday if I can swing the motivation. I want to start doing Etsy shop updates more regularly. Anyway, this is super long already anyhow, so I will probably catch you all with a brief update later this evening. Bye. And I'm back. It is about 9 o'clock right now. The kids are finally in bed and asleep. I'm kind of in a carb coma after dinner. Sweet potatoes are so good. Oh, so good. I had the chicken and we had the sweet potatoes, and I also had made a giant batch of garlic infused kale that in my opinion is absolutely delicious. The kids didn't really want to eat it. As I was saying before, the battery decided to give me the finger and I had to replace it. Luckily I always have an extra one on the charger, so it's just a matter of swapping it out. Anyway, Hunter begrudgingly ate a piece of kale and made a face the entire time, but at least he ate it. That is what really matters. Aside from cleaning up and making dinner, I've mostly just been trying to calculate and math and figure out sizes for my narwhal amigurumi pattern that I'm working on. I've got the largest size and the smallest size figured out now and all written down. Now I just need to do the 2 in between sizes and do a test run of it. And hopefully in the next week I'll be able to record a tutorial for that. Probably only show one of the sizes, probably one of the in-between sizes, and have a written pattern for the rest of them. I'm thinking of doing maybe 99 cents for a pattern. I need to look on Etsy and Ravelry and see what percentage they take from you, because the amount of math and such that I'm doing for this, I'd like to get a little back for it, but I also want it to be reasonable. You know, what do you think is a decent price for a pattern that has 4 sizes of the same item in it? I don't buy paid for patterns very often, so I honestly have no idea. Because when I see somebody who has an $8 hat pattern that only requires a tiny little bit of sculpting, that honestly, if you look at it long enough, you can figure it out. It seems excessive to me to charge that much. So anyway, I'm going to show you what I've been working on the last couple of days, just a few of the amigurumi, because I am planning to do a regular yarn talk later this weekend. As I already said earlier, I think today is Friday, the 6th of October, and I am going to be doing Vlogtober for the rest of the month. So, I made this little guy, well, finished this little guy yesterday. Shed a little light on the situation, maybe. Maybe. There we go. But yeah, this is just a little... It's the same octopus pattern I always use. It's just with some scrap. This is Red Heart Super Saver. I don't even know what this color's called, but it's the basic red I use for just about everything. This is Cherry Red, apparently. This is Red Heart Super Saver Pumpkin, and this is a Loops and Threads Black and Brown Variegated from Michaels. And this one, I'm not sure if you can see it with the light because I'm seeing spots with it in my face right now, but he actually has gold eyes. So, for the narwhal. This is the first one I made, and I made it last night. And as I said, I totally goofed up because I should have used safety eyes. And when I sewed it up, I looked at it and went, ugh. So, this is the jumbo narwhal. As you can see, it is positively enormous. It's maybe softball sized. It's got a little horn, it's got a little smiley face, has ginormous eyeballs, little fins, got a little flappy tail. So there's the biggity big one. And here is the micro narwhal. Look at how tiny that thing is. It's so little. This thing is like the size of a bouncy ball. I can't get over how teeny this is. I mean, look at them side by side. It's ridiculous. So this is going to be like a scrap buster project right here. If you've got little teeny bits of yarn, this is going to be your go-to. And for this one I used, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it with how totally blasted out everything is with the light in my face, but the horn on this one is made with the Hirschner's Holiday Stars sparkly sequin yarn. And this horn is made with Red Heart shimmer. So yeah, I've got the big and the little ones worked out, and now I just need to figure out the two in-between sizes, and I will be good to go. I might actually even be able to do them with the rest of this one skein of Caron Simply Soft paints. Because after using it, even for these, I hate working with Caron Simply Soft. Even for amigurumis, it feels delightful. It is indeed very soft. I just don't like it. It's not my thing. So those two are done. I'm gonna put them in the bag of stuff that I've made this week, which is steadily growing and it's kind of weird. So I'm gonna turn that off out of my face. So I'm gonna look kind of yellow just from the overhead fluorescent, but I can't keep having that in my eyes. So I think I'm gonna leave it here. I've got some more stuff I want to get done before the evening is over. I'm probably going to make the head and piece together that Zero Lovey that I made all the other parts for. And tomorrow work on testing out my math for the other two narwhals. Well, probably one of them. I don't know if I'll get to both tomorrow, but we'll try to do at least one. So I will see all of you tomorrow for another Vlogtober video, and probably Sunday, possibly Monday for another yarn talk, since my one about the craft fair went up so stupid late this week thanks to my computer not reading memory cards. Anyhow, thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you all have an awesome weekend or day, depending upon when you watch this, since I know that eventually some people will come across this and they're not watching it when it's fresh. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed, and I look forward to seeing all of the new people that will subscribe. And like I said, I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.